Much rather look at her. I know.
No, I mean, not with that thing in front.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
So whenever you want to start.
You got it on?
Yep.
So, and what is the Climate Coalition and how did it come about?
We call ourselves the Climate Action Coalition. We're the New Paltz Climate Action Coalition, and we wanted that action word in there because we're a group of people. We coalesced at the end of, well, it was just after Obama was elected, and there was supposed to be some up and down environmental movement of ideas from national level down to local level, which is a great idea, but it didn't work. There wasn't enough communication. So this was a group of environmental people to begin with, about 5 or 6 of us. We started meeting and we had nothing to do because there were no rules, there were no procedures. So we said, well, let's just start talking about what we want to do with the environment and with our local people, because we were all very locally focused. And one of the first things we did was we took a course with the Northwest Earth Institute. It's out in the West Coast. And they had a course called Global Warming Changing Course. And it was 8 sessions. And it was interesting because it was a very multi-faceted program, and it talked about politics, the science, the psychology of living sustainably, basically, and reducing our energy footprint. So we took this course together, we got to know each other, and we were all deep. We realized this stuff is not just, I think I'll turn my light bulb, switch my light bulb. We were all pretty well connected to the earth and to justice, social justice, and a lot of the same causes. So we decided, well, maybe taking the ideas from the course and from our own ideas, we would form this group and try to involve our friends, our neighbors, community groups, however we could be of help. And we just didn't know where we were going to go, but here's what we ended up doing. We wrote this is the official mission statement. Climate Action Coalition of New Paltz works to alert people in our area to the changes they can expect from climate change and to ways to reduce the causes and adjust to the effects. So it stemmed from a real passion for the earth, connection to the earth and to people. And we've done a lot of research. We've been around 2 years. We're actually celebrating our 2nd birthday next month. And first, we had the 350 event, which was an international event. That was our first big event. We thought, well, yeah, we'll join the international community, we'll do something for New Paltz. And so we organized a 350 event, and we saw a photograph of people lined up spelling out the number 350. So let's do that for New Paltz, that would be fun. But that's not enough. Let's also have a fair along with it. We'll have good music and food and art. And here are some things you can do. We know the temperature's rising on that global thermometer, but let's just not sit around and go, oh God, it's happening, we're doomed. Let's say, what can we do? So we had energy-saving things, other things, and this is one of my favorite things. It looks like a weapon. People have various ideas of what this actually is. This is something probably all of us who have refrigerators that are more than maybe 3 or 4 years old should own. This is a refrigerator coil cleaning brush. And the manufacturers recommend that we clean our refrigerator coils like every couple of months. And I'm thinking, every couple of months? I haven't ever cleaned mine. So I went home and I cleaned my refrigerator coils, and the stuff I got could have been insulating, coats and jackets and whatever. And immediately my fridge went off, and for 20 hours it didn't run at all. So those are the kinds of things, easy things to do. Maybe they're not going to change the world, but what we try to do is engage people to start thinking. To me it's fun to do this. What am I doing now, and how's that impacting the world? And do I leave the water on hot while I'm rinsing my dishes and walking across the room, or do I turn it off and then fill the pot maybe with hot water? So little things like that, and then trying to get to bigger things. And one of the things that, of course, everybody's talking about now is our use of oil. So at one point we had set out some barrels and then draped a whole area that showed how many 58 barrels of oil is that each of us is responsible for. Now this is our country. So that means wars that we're fighting and using fossil fuel. It means jet plane flights that we take. It means heating oil. It's driving our cars, all of that stuff. But visually, we just want people to start talking and talking. So our research showed that scientific facts didn't really move people that much. It made them depressed and they say, I don't want to think about it. This is too depressing. So I'm just going to go fly to Jamaica for the week. Just forget all this. So we're trying to get people talking to each other. And so we've done a couple of courses for the community, like green living and that sort of thing. We have fairs. We did the Ulster County Fair. It had close to 1,000 people come through our booth. And we just said, hi, how are you doing? Do you have, you want to take this little quiz? Have you changed your light bulbs? Oh, yeah. And what we found about with all these, 1,000 people was most people had done something. They wanted a next step. And all the research now says it's peer groups, it's talking to people, it's being friendly. And of course, one of the big things that we have found is usually when you go green, you save green. So maybe you invest in some insulation, but you're going to save on your fuel. You drive, you carpool. It's amazing. You cut your fuel in half. Your fuel expenditure. So those are some of the things that we've been working on. And our coalition idea is just to involve other groups. Right now we're working a lot with SUNY New Paltz, and that's so much fun. I mean, these students are so full of energy, and if they're not totally zoned out on their text messaging and iPods or whatever, there's a group of students who just say, we're going to do this, we're going to turn this around. So we've really enjoyed working with them. They have a sustainability week that they're going to do in the end of April, and our group's working with them. And NYSERDA has events. That's the New York State Energy and Research Development Administration, I guess, and they're trying to get people to save energy. So we'll work with them on projects and programs. So anyway, and we have fun. That is like bottom line. We always have food at our meetings. We laugh. We exchange, anecdotes, whatever. Well, that's sort of overview of what we're about.
Right. What do you say to people who you might meet around town or anywhere you go that don't really yet believe in the idea of climate change at all or global warming?
That's fine. I mean, we just will agree to disagree. However, the idea that if they do reduce their amount of fuel, they're going to save money anyway. I was looking today, it's so sunny, and I'm thinking, my gosh, I don't even own a solar panel. What kind of environmentalist am I? I had visited my son he's a few hours north in the Adirondacks, and he has a farm, and was helped by NYSERDA. We drove up to this old-fashioned looking farm. They're running horse-drawn machinery now. They're trying to get rid of all their tractors, so they have horse-drawn equipment. They're trying to grow all their grains for all their local use, for their pigs or chickens, whatever, locally. And what do I see driving up? 15 solar panels. And I'm saying, this is the new aesthetic. It's not a quaint old barn. They have one of those sort of dilapidated, actually, but 15 solar panels, they're just cranking out the energy. They're selling it back. Mm. So those are the kinds of things that you just say to people, well, listen, you might want to think about some of the new technology, and I can't, if somebody doesn't want to believe what, world climate scientists agree to, and for them to have come out, I mean, I'm part scientist myself, and I work for NASA at the Space Administration's office in New York, and that's where the climate change work first came out. Scientists are very conservative people, and it's very rare you can get a scientist to say, I think this is what's going to happen. There's always these predictabilities. So to me, the fact that all these international climate scientists came out and said, this is so serious, just the possibilities, that we agree that this is what's probably going to happen. I know that they were even being conservative because that's what scientists are, so I thought, wow, that's what blows me. I'm convinced. And obviously it's not something you see. So it's hard for some people, and they're getting misinformation too. So I just say fine, you know. The other thing that's happening, there's a whole other movement that we're probably going to be working with also. It's called the Transition Initiative. Started in England. Do you know about this? Yeah, and people are already doing things to localize, buy local food, you know, look for local transportation, try to create local jobs, grow local food, all that. That's already happening here. So if we can help in some ways and work with the transition people, we'll be doing that. I mean, that's kind of what we're doing anyway. Making things local.
Do you think that living locally is the single most important thing an individual can do right now, or is there something more important, you think?
I think the reason I think that's important is because it also starts connecting people again. And I think we've gotten so distracted by technology and this otherworldly excitement that's either virtual or real, but in many cases virtual, that we don't connect with each other as much as we used to. And the more we work locally, we've got a lot of collective wisdom and resilience. That's a term that the transition people use a lot. And, you know, I think, wow, power suddenly goes out, big grid, you know, they're talking about this big national grid, and I'm thinking, eeks, these big nationalized systems, when they go down, the impact is huge. And people really are in desperate straits often. So the more you localize, the more secure I think we feel. And even here, like one of our climate change missions is to prepare for climate change. We're already seeing floods, of course. It was a beautiful flood in Wallkill this last weekend, wasn't it? Mm. It was like a party. Everybody came down to the river and it was a sunny day. But that flood could also be a real danger for some people, emergency vehicles and all that. And I'm thinking, how great. Let's get to know neighborhoods again. Do you even know the people in your neighborhood? That somebody maybe on a pacemaker or somebody needs treatment once a week, and if the flood happens they couldn't get out of their house. Or the more we know each other and connect, I think an awful lot of fun things are going to happen. You know, different ages and stages. And saw a movie, and I don't know if you've seen The Economics of Happiness. Interesting one, looking at a community in Ladakh. It's in Tibet, one of the highest, I think it's the highest elevation community in the world. And this was a totally rural, isolated community until the road went in. And this videographer was able to capture their whole culture before civilization, quote, reached them. The faces, the smiles, the interactions of people. It's not easy life, but, you know, very low infant mortality, great health, wonderful, they were literate. I mean, it was just amazing culture. And then when Western civilization came with a lot of the amenities, the changes that happened, and I was just so moved again to see, you know, little kids walking with older people and interacting and working in the village or working out on the farm together, a lot of physical work. I think we're going to go back to more farming and gardening. Kids love this, so do older people, you know. And I think some of the myths of the drudgery of that work, I think a lot of them are myths. I mean, not that it wasn't hard and that there won't be hard times, but I think if people do it collectively, it's so much more fun. So I'm looking forward to more good times, really. Celebrations. Gotta celebrate, you know.
Now, hydrofracking, to come to another issue, hydrofracking is coming towards New York, and yeah. I was impressed that you went out kind of to do the research. You went to Pennsylvania, right. Didn't you? What did you find out?
We spent 2 weeks. We had a family wedding in Ohio, and we said, well, this could be our vacation. We've got 2 weeks, one on either side. And we'd begun to read about fracking, and I kept reading it saying, wait a minute, this is, how can this technology be safe? How can you use millions of gallons each time you frack a well? And there are thousands of these. How can you put toxic substances into that water, millions of gallons? This is not a good technology. There were so many aspects to it that I thought, well, I want to know. I don't want to just read the far progressive or the conservative right wing. I want to just see it. So Dan and I both spent time just driving around. We got so we could spot a road where fracking was going on somewhere up, and you see a little extra gravel or you know, you'd see a tower crane somewhere, and you say, okay, they're building a fracking well here. So we just drove up. Sometimes, you know, past the little do not enter sign and snap a couple pictures, or just to get a sense of it. And it's an exciting kind of, I mean, you could see the draw for the people who were building these wells and, you know, 60 feet up on top and yelling, hey, this is this, and trucks moving around. It's a real guy thing. It's a real guy thing. A lot of out-of-staters, a lot from Oklahoma and Missouri. So, but we got a little chance to talk to some of these people, go to local restaurants, go to motels, talk to landowners, talk to farmers, talk to the Department of Environmental Protection in Pennsylvania. They were very open about what was happening, didn't have enough people regulating. Some companies were doing what they were doing okay, but still not able to really contain the process and make it safe. So we came back mainly just with a sadness about what is happening in Pennsylvania. Huge portions of Pennsylvania. And they're just in the beginning stages. They haven't even fully fracked all the areas that they're going to do. So we began to think, wow, Marcellus Shales under New York hasn't been decided yet. Let's see if we could, you know, in concert with a lot of other groups. That's part of our coalition idea. Maybe we have a chance. We'll just pretend we have a chance. I mean, we know we're up against billions of dollars of big oil and gas, and they can put ads on TV, which they're now doing quite frequently now as we're getting closer. But we thought, even just the idea of stopping something that is so harmful to communities, to individuals, to farming, to the environment, if we could say, stop at our border, if you can get it safe, if you can not destroy our communities and our environments, let's talk again. If we could stop it until those things are corrected, that would really send a message. And of course then with Egypt having its protest and saying, well, you know, people can make a difference. So there's some momentum building, and we definitely want to educate people as much as we can to the truths. I mean, we're trying not to become flagrant, screaming, sort of firebranding activists in that way. We really feel you don't have to be. You just present the truth of what this is. Very, very rationally. This is the process. These are the dangers. These are the things that are happening. Bless the New York Times. I think that was great timing when they came out with their 3 really investigative reports about fracking. It's real. It's very real. And even though homeowner, like the one we talked to who was, she had a beautiful little estate and they fracked up on the hill far away from them, and the gas company had re-sown the grass and the pipes were painted green, and so the fracking had been over a couple of years. As we're talking, these trucks are zooming by, the road's now double wide. This is a little country lane. And we said, so did this work out for you? And she said, well, we got paid some money. She said, you know, my husband and I wanted to move out of town so we could be in the country. You know, and there's this kind of like sadness, and truck zooms by as she's starting talking. She said, but what can you do? And I thought, man, you just galvanized me a little bit. I'm going to try to do something. So it was people to people. You really got a sense of, it was a sadness. A little boom and bust. Motel owners, great. But talking to the owners, you know, a couple of ones that we stopped at, we said, we're in the hospitality business. And you look around here, bags of laundry, it's a dorm. They're housing lots of young men who are out seeking adventure, who are using the motels. They're not tourists who are going to shop in local shops. They're here to, you know, go to the bars and restaurants, have a little fun, maybe a little sex, a little drugs, whatever. They're out for an adventure. So the whole kind of tenor of the town is being morphed a bit, and people aren't so happy about that.